City, negotiations on a deal for Noriega. American troops bring some order to Panama, and in Romania, the beginning of a difficult new day. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Negotiations to finalize a deal on Manuel Noriega are ricocheting between the Pope, President Bush, and Panama City. Several sources indicate that an understanding may be taking shape under which Noriega is sent to a third country in the Western Hemisphere for trial, or as a last resort, tried perhaps in Panama itself, and that this understanding could be sealed into a deal within 24 to 48 hours. However, guidance from Bush administration officials tonight is no deal is near, and they insist they still believe Noriega will be tried in the United States. Our coverage of conflicting information in a fast-moving situation begins with Richard Threlkeld in Panama.
Manuel Noriega is said to be living in a small room in this building in downtown Panama City, the papal nuncio's office, still ringed by a cordon of American troops. Not the sort of opulent lifestyle that Noriega, who's said to be worth several $100 million, has been used to, judging from the evidence they're uncovering at his various mansions here. But he may not be stuck here much longer. Sources in Panama and in the U.S. have told CBS News they expect a deal will be struck as early as tomorrow, which will allow Noriega safe conduct out of Panama to political asylum in another country, so far unidentified, and to escape prosecution here in Panama and in the United States. There are some practical political reasons for this. There's concern here that as long as Noriega remains in Panama, he makes the job of subduing resistance by his followers that much more difficult. Rooting out the last of the Noriega loyalists remains a dangerous problem for U.S. troops here. And despite Washington's public insistence that it wants Noriega returned to the U.S. for trial on drug charges, Bush administration officials are said to be privately worried that such a trial could reveal some highly embarrassing history about Noriega's past relationship with the CIA. Any deal to let Noriega go is going to take a lot of explaining. To the Panamanians, for one, ever since he's been cornered, they've been shouting justicia, justice, meaning they want to see Noriega behind bars. And Washington will have to explain why, if getting Noriega was a prime purpose of this invasion only a few days ago, keeping him is no longer necessary.
So, Dan, it looks as if, at least from down here, as if Noriega, the old arch enemy of both the new Panamanian government and Washington, may well go scot-free.
Well, how would that go down in Panama City, Richard?
Well, I think it probably will go badly if it happens, and of course, as we say, it hasn't happened yet. But in retrospect, Washington may well have painted itself into a kind of corner by going out of its way last week to paint Noriega as such a devil, because if you do that and now say this narco-terrorist is in effect going to be released, no harm done, you're looking awfully cynical.
Thanks, Richard. Our chief White House correspondent, Leslie Stahl, has been monitoring the situation at the White House. She's live now there. And Leslie, what's the Bush administration's story on all of this?
Well, it's a very different story. First off, the administration says they are very concerned about the situation inside the Vatican embassy. They say that Noriega is not in there alone, that he has 20 of his people with him, at least 10 former military officials described as big and burly, and that they may even have weapons with them, that according to a White House official. Noriega's lawyer tells us, his lawyer in Miami, that he has 38 people with him, but he denies they have any weapons. Now, the U.S. Embassy is surrounded by the Vatican Embassy is surrounded by U.S. military, but officials here say that inside Noriega is not acting like a captive, and the question is who has who. They say he has forced the Vatican to negotiate with him. If he refuses to leave or to go to a specific place, they say that the clergy cannot force him to do that because of this extra group of people around him.
Now, Leslie, this comes against the background of reports that there may be an understanding that, well, perhaps they could take Noriega to a third country and he'd be tried there. How committed is President Bush to the position that he has to be tried in the United States?
Well, first I must tell you that up until very recently, they have the administration has been trying to get him to go to a third country, but today officials say that they really do want him to come here to stand trial, mainly because they can't think of a third country where he would not end up on some villa with a shortwave radio trying to whip up support and foment revolution back in Panama, just the way Ferdinand Marcos did in the Philippines.
Leslie, thanks. The Pentagon said today that Noriega was never in command of forces resisting the U.S. invasion. A spokesman said Noriega spent the entire time on the run, barely evading capture, busy, and I quote, trying to save his own skin. More on the hunt for Noriega from Defense Department correspondent David Martin.
Defense Secretary Cheney, Joint Chiefs Chairman General Colin Powell, and National Security Advisor Brent Scowcroft returned from a lunchtime meeting with President Bush at Camp David, sounding as if there is no give in the U.S. stance.
Our position hasn't changed. We'd still like to have Noriega. We still have the embassy down there secured in terms of our people being all around it. We don't believe he can get out.
The U.S. military command in Panama today released its account of just how close American forces came to capturing Noriega. On the day before the attack, he was in the town of Colon and still did not believe the U.S. would invade. That evening, he returned to Panama City and went to an officers' club at the international airport. When U.S. paratroopers descended on the airport, Noriega fled in a car. While the battle for his headquarters raged, he was driving in circles around the city. He spent most of the next 5 days in Panama City at the home of a relative of his personal secretary, rejecting the idea of fleeing into the jungle for fear his heart couldn't take it. At one point, he contacted the Cuban ambassador, but the Americans had the Cuban embassy surrounded, and Noriega decided it was too risky.
One of his bodyguards, who turned himself in to U.S. authorities, said that Noriega got no rest, with U.S. troops constantly on his tail. When he finally got to the Vatican's embassy there in Panama City, he was said to be so exhausted from the chase that he could barely speak.
According to this account, Noriega decided to seek sanctuary when he found out one of his cronies, Lieutenant Colonel Luis Del Cid, had surrendered. Del Cid was arraigned today in Miami on drug charges.
We have alleged that Mr. Del Cid worked closely with Mr. Noriega. He is alleged to have been a liaison courier and emissary for Manuel Noriega dealing with drug traffickers.
The U.S. has seized reams of documents from Noriega's hideouts, and the Justice Department now estimates he has at least $10 million in drug money stashed in overseas bank accounts. Tomorrow, it will ask at least half a dozen European countries to freeze those accounts. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The occasional sound of sniper fire rang out in Panama City as people tried to resume their pre-invasion lives after a week of warfare and looting. Correspondent David Dow has that.
Panamanians surged into the streets in search of normalcy today, the first business day of their new society.
We are free. There is a democratic society.
Free, but not free of the struggle of transition. Military roadblocks created large traffic jams. It took an hour just to get into this supermarket, one of the few to survive last week's looting binge with its stock intact. Most businesses did not reopen. Even many that did showed the scars of the rampage.
We haven't stripped for the last 5 days.
Just to protect what you have left here?
Yes.
In some stores, the merchandise survived, but something more fundamental to a free society did not. Trust. At Hovey's hardware store today, they frisked the customers and watched them with armed guards.
So I imagine that by the end of this week, it'll look a lot more normal, but to come back to full normality, it's going to be a long, drawn-out process.
But creating a new Panamanian police force to keep order may not take long, judging from the huge lines of recruits that have been showing up to seek jobs. Other government services began coming back today under conditions that were sometimes surreal. In the same building where U.S. commandos stormed and blew up the Noriega regime's radio station, the nation's new controller and his aides prepared to meet their first payroll.
The money, we take care of that. So tell all your companions and the checks must be ready on time.
Meanwhile, humanitarian aid, medicine, food, and other supplies continues pouring into this nation that faced an economic crisis long before fighting hit its streets. It is welcomed by people trying to put their lives back together, by some who've been existing on the pieces. David Dow, CBS News, Panama City.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Bob Simon on the grim new day dawning in Romania. And Charles Kuralt on the road and counting birds in this season of partridges in pear trees.
Amazing how many friends I've got since buying my General Motors truck. These new ones can do it all. Last weekend I hauled bricks for Bill, delivered a couch for Ed, and today I'm helping to launch a career in music for Barney's 6-year-old. The way I look at it, I'm as popular as my GM truck.
This year, as for over 50 years, GM has sold more trucks in the U.S. than any other company.
We're in luck. Did you know sirloin's only 177 calories and round-tip steaks a mere 162? Where would we be without beef? Out of luck, I'd say. Beef. Real food and luck. Wisconsin.
It could be a dream or it could be a joke. It could be for real.
It's for real. Bob Castleberry won $10 million. You can too if you enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes fast.
$10 million, you know. But I can handle it all right.
People who want that competitive edge also want the nutrition of 100% whole grain. But of these eating cereals, only Wheaties is made with 100% whole grain. So only Wheaties gives you whole grain nutrition. Better get your whole grain.
You better eat your Wheaties.
Now with 25% less sodium than before.
Romanian television offered graphic evidence today of the fate of deposed leader Ceausescu, photographs of Ceausescu on trial, and his body after he and his wife were executed by firing squad. As fierce civil war apparently tapered off somewhat today, the first stress cracks appeared in the new Romanian provisional government and signs of more turmoil and possible violence to come. Bob Simon is on the scene.
He was defiant to the end. The trial of Nicolae Ceausescu, broadcast on Romanian television tonight, revealed the captured leader and his wife Elena refusing to recognize the court which was accusing them of crimes against the people. Minutes later, they were dead, executed by a firing squad at an undisclosed location.
In Bucharest today, people said it was unfortunate that the man who called himself the greatest Romanian in history could die only once, and so quickly.
We all say he died too much easier. He should have been punished much more terribly.
His legacy was being dealt with outside Bucharest today. A new cemetery was under construction. The old one did not have room for 3,000 fresh graves for the victims of Ceausescu's last massacre. Children and old people, but students mainly. Students who demonstrated at Bucharest University last Saturday when Ceausescu called in the guns. New heroes, new leaders. The new government of Romania was displayed on television today. The president, Ion Ionescu, credentials, a senior communist who'd been demoted by Ceausescu and who was a friend of Gorbachev. He promised free elections in April. The tanks were still in the streets today, and there were other signs of extraordinary times, like food, more variety in more stores than people could remember, and newspapers with names like Spark of the People, Truth, Liberty. New first editions coming out every day in such demand that self-appointed town criers read them out loud to crowds. Real reprisals have not begun yet, but the old guard is being rounded up. Familiar faces spotted by people who'd been imprisoned, interrogated, and tortured. Ceausescu's poet laureate sought refuge at the American embassy, but was pulled away by an angry crowd. And more anger is coming to the surface. The people of Romania took the extraordinary step of killing their old leader, and many are saying that the new leaders they saw on television today wear too many of the same Stalinist stripes. The Romanian Revolution may have just begun. Bob Simon, CBS News, Bucharest.
President Bush announced a $500,000 emergency aid package for Romania today, mostly medical supplies to be distributed through the International Red Cross. Additional U.S. aid is said to be in the works.
For over 100 years, in countless warm and friendly places, it's been Miller time. At Miller, we're proud to have always brewed our beer carefully and responsibly. And that's how we'd like you to drink our beer, carefully and responsibly. So the next time you're having any one of our beers, the next time it's Miller time for you, we'd like to ask you to do one very simple thing. Be responsible. Think when you drink.
Make me rich, you say?
How about $20 million, Rich? From American Family, January 26th. You heard right, $20 million. And the winning number may be in your hands right now. Don't miss out. There's never been a prize this big before. In America's only sweepstakes with my picture, the American Family Sweepstakes, the one with the giant $20 million prize, all for you. Enter today.
Some people think only foreign companies build quality cars. Now, according to an independent survey, an American car company offers you a choice of some of the most trouble-free cars you can own. That American car company is Buick. And the 1990 versions of those American cars are Buick LeSabre, Buick Riviera, and Buick Electra Park Avenue. We believe there's a new symbol for quality on the great American road.
The cold wave that hit the deep south moderated today, but industry observers reported substantial damage to Florida's vegetable and citrus fruit crops. And business correspondent Ray Brady explains how these plunging temperatures may boost your cost of staying warm.
This is the market where the law of supply and demand sets the price of home heating oil. And today, in just one frantic day, the price soared by nearly 11 cents a gallon, possibly a record according to the exchange.
I've been down here 9 years. I've never seen anything like this today.
It was pandemonium in the pits. Traders shouting themselves hoarse, scrambling to buy home heating oil. Because when temperatures slide, the price of fuel oil soars. And homeowner heating bills soar with it.
Talking 20% increase at least for a home heating oil customer.
For some homeowners without fixed price contracts, prices could rise even higher. The nation's big chill has sent the price of heating oil soaring for weeks now. That and the need to burn more fuel this winter to keep warm add up to a bleak outlook for many homeowners.
Some consumers may be paying as much as double what they paid a year ago for their home heating oil bill.
To make matters even worse, an explosion and fire at the nation's second biggest refinery sent fuel oil prices even higher today. Homes heated with natural gas won't escape higher bills either.
Natural gas will be going up the same way, upon a 15-20% increase.
Will the cost of heating a home keep going up? As one trader told me today, you tell me what the weather will do, and I'll tell you what the price will do. Dan?
Thanks, Ray. I'll be back with the Gorbachev story in a moment.
The airbag. If it's good enough for Mercedes, why not your car? Only Chrysler Corporation has a driver's side airbag standard on every car it builds in the U.S.
There's never been an offer like this before. Now, for the first time, for 45 days only, the world's best-selling minivans are on sale. $1,000 rebates on 1990 Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager. Offer ends January 31st.
It's easy to get lost in a storm. You may have been lost in this one. Your medical records, your bank statements. Vital information gone in a flash because it wasn't protected. So 3M invented data cartridge technology, a unique data backup system that protects your information. Because for someone to help you, they have to be able to find you. 3M, innovation working for you.
That's my wife, Julie Yancey. She just found out we won the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. Julie's generally a pretty cool lady, but when you win $1 million, I guess you have something to shout about.
What would you do if you won $10 million? You can. Just watch your mail for this house and enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes right away. On January 26th, you could be our next millionaire. But when you win, try to act cool.
The first test is shaping up of whether Mikhail Gorbachev will stop short of outright force to prevent the first breakaway from the Soviet Communist Party inside the Soviet Union itself. Early indications are that Gorbachev will at least try to talk first. He's now scheduled to travel to Lithuania, where the Communist Party has voted to go independent, the first to do so inside the Soviet Union since the Bolshevik Revolution. John Sheehan has our report from Moscow.
Soviet leaders do not want to use military force against the Lithuanian independence movement, they said today, but it is clear that Mikhail Gorbachev will not tolerate a Lithuanian decision to break away from the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. An emergency session of the Central Committee urged Gorbachev to go personally to Lithuania at the head of a delegation to persuade the Lithuanians to remain in the Soviet Party.
I think all these republics are moving very quickly in the direction of independence. The best the Soviets can hope for is to maintain these republics inside some loose confederation.
Last week, the Communist Party of Lithuania voted itself independent of Gorbachev and the rest of the Soviet communists. Lithuanians were delighted. But a two-day crisis meeting of top communist policymakers in Moscow ruled today that the vote in the Lithuanian capital of Vilnius is null and void. The Moscow meeting sharply reprimanded the Lithuanians.
They should be expelled. Yeah, suggestions like that were heard, and I cannot pass them over in silence.
Lithuanian party chief Algirdas Brazauskas said the language was harsh, but that there is room for compromise. What Gorbachev fears most is a chain reaction of Soviet republics declaring themselves independent countries. That, he warned, could tear the Soviet Union apart, bringing bloodshed and death. John Sheehan, CBS News, Moscow.
Israeli troops have carried out their biggest ground attack inside Lebanon in more than a year. Israel says soldiers supported by tanks last night raided a Lebanese Communist Party guerrilla base in the Bekaa Valley. At least 9 people are said to have been killed in this raid and a later Israeli air attack on another Communist Party guerrilla base near Beirut. Samuel Beckett, the Nobel Prize-winning playwright and author, was buried today in Paris. His most famous work was Waiting for Godot. Beckett's plays and fiction are bleak and darkly humorous. One commentator said his characters seek non-existent answers while traveling on a journey without an end. Word coming today, Samuel Beckett died Friday at 83.
Behind every American Express card is a tradition of world service. Freedom to spend with no preset limits. Automatic protection for everything you buy. Access to cash when you're far from home. American Express is always there to provide our best personal service to every card member, around the corner or around the world. Membership has its privileges.
Not today.
All callers, please register at the desk.
I can't have this arthritis pain today. Good luck. Oh, please, not today. Anacin.
When relief is a must, reach for Anacin. The Anacin formula gives you more medicine than regular aspirin for hours of relief from minor arthritis pain. Anacin, when relief is a must.
Now, for a limited time, get a guaranteed rebate at your Jeep and Eagle dealer. If the rebate increases on your eligible vehicle after January 31st, you'll get a check for the difference. No other car company has ever done that. The guaranteed rebate from the Chrysler Corporation. See your Jeep and Eagle dealer now. Offer ends soon.
'Tis the season to count birds. And as Charles Kuralt learned on the road in North Carolina, we're not talking about a few partridges in a pear tree.
One swan a-swimming, 2 swans a-landing, 3 swans a-flying, 4 swans a-drifting, 5 swans a-flapping. We are counting birds today. One old coot waddling on the ice. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 coots a-waddling. Put them down in your notebook. This is the week of the annual Christmas bird count in more than 1,600 communities around the country. For the 90th straight year, trained volunteers have their eye upon the sparrow and every other thing that soars or flaps or flits or whistles, tweets, or twitters. This is the yearly census that tells us how our feathered friends are faring.
In principle, it's easy. You come out in the woods and fields at the first light of day, you stay out until the sun goes down, and you count every single bird you see.
Well, let's see. If 4 and 20 blackbirds can be baked into a pie, let's say about 850 pies full here in this cornfield. When they count the birds around Mattamuskeet this week, what kind of birds are they going to see? We asked U.S. Fish and Wildlife biologist Kelly Davis.
We're going to see a lot of waterfowl, tundra swans, Canada geese, snow geese, maybe some white-fronted geese, maybe some smaller shorebirds like lesser yellowlegs, greater yellowlegs, common snipe, killdeer, all kinds of songbirds, the typical bird feeder birds, tufted titmice, cardinals, dark-eyed juncos, orange-crowned warblers, yellow warblers, black and white warblers, pine warblers, palm warblers, and yellow-rumped warblers. How's that?
That's fine. And she didn't even mention that eagle or hawk or buzzard up there. She completely overlooked the phoebe on that tree limb. And when she gets to numbering the blackbirds, wonder how many pies full she'll be able to count. We know that many species of birds are becoming scarce as they compete with human beings for living space. The annual Christmas Week bird count will provide vital data on that subject. But on this one day, in this one place, the swans are in their heaven, and all's right with the world. Charles Kuralt, CBS News, on the road, Swan Quarter, North Carolina.
And that's part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Up to the 90s with Kathleen Sullivan and Harry Smith on CBS This Morning. First to see it, first to say it.
This is CBS.
Just ahead on 11 News at 6, a rash of brush fire.